Well, what's been at stake is the biggest social media platform to come along since we can say Instagram, we can say Snapchat, we can say Facebook itself. So that's what's been on the table. And we've had 100 million US users, or probably somewhere upwards of that. That's TikTok's number, all fighting over or all trying to figure out what's going to happen to this social media app that every other tech player in the space right now is trying to either imitate or try to buy. So that's really what's been on the table. I think that's what's been at stake. The question now is what happens next with it. If Microsoft does proceed as it seems it will, what happens to the app? How does it look different? How do these users feel about the takeover? Does anything change? Those are the things that we're still asking.
Right. And I'm curious, Joanne, and I should mention, we're getting some fresh headlines from the president right now about this deal. He says it might be easier if Microsoft buys the whole of TikTok rather than the 30% that's been discussed. He also says Microsoft or another American company would have to buy TikTok by the September 15th deadline, or it would be banned. So what do you think? And I'll ask Dan about this, obviously, Joanna, but it's interesting that Microsoft wasn't at the big tech hearing, and it kind of gets this free pass for this acquisition at the same time that we're all going back and looking at whether Facebook should have been allowed to acquire Instagram. I mean, TikTok is the most sought after platform that exists for in the U.S. today. So what about forcing it to pursue an IPO? What if TikTok moves its ownership outside of China, as something else that was floated today? I mean, are those possible remedies here, or do you think a Microsoft or a big tech acquisition is the only feasible option?
I think it's such a double-edged sword. I think all the points you bring up are really valid. And we look at last week, and we look at the landscape of last week, and we had the four biggest tech companies sitting in Washington being grilled about these types of things, acquiring giant companies or companies that had a lot of potential to then become the monopolistic companies that they might have become because of where they sit. The big question that I've been wondering is Microsoft the safer bet, right? Microsoft is a US company. It's a trusted company. Is it a safe bet? Does President Trump or his advisors at this point like the idea of Microsoft because Microsoft is here and it is trusted?
Right. So, Dan, let me ask you, Microsoft doesn't have, other than LinkedIn, a major social networking app, but why give it one? Why from the government's point of view, I mean, should they give it one?
Look, for Microsoft, I mean, they're the only white knight here. All the FANG tech stalwarts, they're basically caught in regulatory swirls, which is not going to change. And this is not something from Nadella and Microsoft. They really fell into their lap. I mean, I don't want to say Christmas came early from Microsoft and Nadella to get an asset like this, potentially 15, 20% discount, that's already gotten a green light from the White House. And it's a game of high-stakes poker. And I think Nadella understands this could be the consumer strategy for the next decade, at a point where there's no other company out there that could do this. And that's why right now the leverage is with Microsoft.